think it's important to walk around as much as possible. I'd love to say every day, but I don't know that I lay eyes on every plant every day. And I'm going to try to do that this afternoon because we have a problem. It has not rained in about 3 weeks or more. 3 weeks, I know, but I really don't remember the last time it rained. That's a shame. But some of my tomato plants are looking like that a lot, even when I water. Today I'm just bringing out my gallon jug full of water, and I'm going to hit the base of these really good and just give them a good bit of water. This little bitty tomato right by it is looking great. It looks fine. This is Wilson Yellow Gold here, Wilson Yellow Gold. This is a Super Sioux, and it doesn't look fine. It looks like it's getting pretty shabby looking. And it's funny because these were bred and to make them where they would grow in heat, and they look like they're not happy. So I'm going to put some water to this, and then we'll walk around and look at other things. Before I leave this bed, I do want to say, you know, sometimes when there's bad things, there's other things that thrive in the heat. They thrive in the dry climate, and my lima beans are doing that right now. They're looking very good and getting very full and full of growth. They're setting lots of pods. I see some little clusters under here. You see all those clusters? Right now it's just pods. The lima beans aren't really filling out very much in there right now, which is expected. They have a little pod growth period, and up in there the beans are just getting started, and then eventually they'll puff up. And these are the colored willow leaf limas, but I'm noticing the exact same growth on my lynch limas on the other bed. So they love hot weather. They love this, and they're doing good in it. And so there's always some positive. I just can't seem to leave this first bed that I was showing you, but I also wanted to point out something else. This right here is a really nice looking, it's getting very tall, really nice looking banana pepper plant. This is the one that my dog ate the peppers off of. Well, I happen to know that some of them were growing back, and I happen to know they're not there today. You might think, well, I'm getting mad at my dog, but I'm not so sure this time it's him. Walking over here along the driveway to the next bed, I came out today just to check a little something on these pepper plants, because yesterday I kind of came and pruned leaves off the bottom of them. And I specifically noticed that this one had 2 pretty good sized peppers growing on it. These are the Chervina Schutska peppers that I got the seeds from Seed Savers. They start green, but they come into like being a red pepper that's supposed to be sweet and really, really good. I'm looking forward to growing it. But the peppers today are gone. Both of those peppers that were on there yesterday are gone. Now, I'm not gonna lie. My first thought was, oh my gosh, my dog has done decided he likes peppers, and he's eating all the peppers off of my bushes. But y'all, I don't want to throw blame on him if it's not him. Now, the day I saw him grab the banana pepper off the tree and sit there and chomp on it in the driveway, that was him. But this time, since both these bushes got stripped, apparently last night, I started wondering about something. And then all of a sudden, I was walking across my yard and I see this. I got a pretty little pile of scat right here on the side of my yard, kind of near where my pumpkins are, where I just planted cowpeas. Now, this looks like smaller scat than the deer scat that I was worried about last year in my other garden and that people helped me with. I'm thinking this is rabbit poo. I know some of my viewers have rabbits. Can you tell me if that's rabbit poo? It's kind of chocolate brown, speckled looking, and rather small. You know, I've seen rabbits on my property in the last few months, and I'm thinking that's what that is. If that is rabbit poo, can you also tell me whether it is in their character to walk up and just nibble peppers off of pepper plants? They don't seem to be nibbling down the actual stems or anything. It's just like the peppers are gone. I know in the past when I've had a little rabbit trouble, they would come over and eat my cowpeas. They would wait till the pods were set on the bushes, and then they would eat off the pods and the upper leaves and kind of leave about 4 or 5 inches of stubble down at the bottom. They would eat all of the top growth. So I know they normally will eat leaves and things because rabbits love grass and they love greenery. But would it be in their character to just eat the peppers and kind of leave the leaves of the plant alone? Would that be in their character? If anybody could help me with that, I'd appreciate it, because I sure don't want to blame the rabbits if it's not the rabbits, but I don't want to blame my dog if it's not the dogs. And at this particular little incident here with these two being gone, I didn't catch anybody doing anything, and I didn't see the rabbits, and I didn't see my dogs playing with them. So trying to kind of figure out what to do. Now that was the bed I was just showing you. When you leave that bed and you come to the next bed along my driveway, I have tomato plants right here. Right at the beginning of it, I have a little section of tomato plants. The ones on this side of the string are my Atkinson. The ones on that side of the string are my Cherokee purples. And they seem to be a little bit stressed too. It's hard to show things on camera, but their leaves are kind of wanting to curl a little bit. They look like they're thirsty. Now I had walked out here yesterday with my gallon jug and deep watered each one at the base. And they looked great by yesterday evening. Today they're looking kind of bad again. Sometimes things will do that in the middle of the day when it's the hottest, so I'm not freaking out or anything. But I'm just wondering, you know, if I gave them enough. And I'm thinking I'm gonna go back there in a minute and fill that jug and come water them again. It's just kind of like overnight, you're all of a sudden, you go from kind of feeling like things are lush and starting to grow and thrive, and then you go into worry. It's kind of where I'm at right now. If you notice though, this beautiful brandywine pink tomato plant, there's one there, there's one there. They look gorgeous. They don't care. They just look as healthy as they can be. And this plant's setting off tomatoes. However, they also get the benefit of this tree. And you can see there's shade on the ground, and they get a little dappled shade over here in this bed. Whereas in the other bed, and pretty much this end of this bed, stays out in the full sun. So there's the differences in how those plants can look without that benefit of a little shade in my yard, in my heat in South Louisiana. There again, I try to be grateful for whatever I can be grateful for. And my cantaloupes are loving this. They're netting up. They're still green underneath the netting, but they're netting up. They're getting the netting all on their skin, and they're getting close to being ready. You can see that one there. There's a smaller one down in there. And now these haven't got as large as what they could be. They kind of sized up kind of quick and started their netting, and they're going to be about done here shortly without getting much bigger. But that's okay. What I've learned is they still taste delicious. If you know, they get ripe, they're fine. They're just a little smaller. These are plants, some of them, probably the ones putting off cantaloupes now were the ones that survived the freeze. And then I planted new things all up in here the other day from the second set of starts that I made, and those haven't started putting anything off. So maybe I'll get some bigger cantaloupes from those, and these smaller cantaloupes will just be from the ones that just had a bad start. And that was my fault. I can't blame it on the plants. The weirdest thing is that my brandywine pink seedlings, when I was starting seeds, they were the most weak, unhealthy looking seeds of any of the tomatoes I started. Heirloom, hybrid, didn't matter. Cherry, regular sized tomatoes, didn't matter. The brandywine pinks looked sickly. I planted 4 or 5 of them before the freeze. Oddly, one of them survived the freeze. It's over there looking beautiful now. But I started more after the freeze to plant over here. And I had the same problem. They just started doing terrible. And you would walk out there sometimes, and one of the brandywines would just be dried up in the cup, just done. You know, all the other tomatoes were growing and the brandywine would just be done. So I can't remember how many I started after the freeze, but I was only able to plant out, I think, 3 more over there by the one that survived the freeze. And I just showed them to you a while ago. All of them look beautiful. So it's so funny because some of your really hardy seedlings don't end up transplanting out very well. And then some of your sickly looking plants that you just go, you know what? I'm putting you in the ground because I've invested all this time in you, but I have no faith that you're going to do anything. You plant them and they just do great. They're just like, you know, the survivors. So it's so strange, but I'm learning all the time. I'm always learning. And I was watching something the other day and I heard somebody say on their video that their brandywine tomato seedlings look terrible and that they always seem to have trouble with their brandywines. So I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. They're not the strongest seedlings, but for me right now, they've made a beautiful plant. Now this is my corn patch back here, and I'm having to go ahead and put the water to it. I still need to get out here and finish weeding, but you know what? The water will actually help me with the weeding because it'll make the roots of the grass come out of the ground easier. So I thought I would just leave this until I watered, which I am doing today. And this is Saturday afternoon, June 3rd, and I'm putting the water to it. These cucumber plants just a few minutes ago were laying on the ground looking half dead, and just this little bit of water has perked them up so much. I know a lot of people don't want to maybe water leaves. You want to water just underneath the plants. But as a brand new gardener here on this property, just now reaching 5 months that we've been here, I do not have all those systems in place yet for drip irrigation or anything like that. And y'all, it hasn't rained for 3 weeks, as I said, and things were starting to look bad. My cucumbers were putting out. They were doing pretty good. And then all of a sudden here the last few days, they've just started looking so bad. These plants that I told you about, the Mountaineer runner beans, and over here, the Tennessee Volunteer half runner beans, you can still tell they're looking better. I'm actually harvesting beans off of these, and not just off of these first 2 plants. I'm harvesting the beans off of some of these others that didn't put off runners or anything until after I put the Miracle Grow on there. So you can tell these plants have made a big comeback. But I feel that more of them, especially some of these back here that are still struggling, I feel that more of them could be doing better if we just get a little rain, but we haven't. They had said earlier in the week we could expect some showers maybe by Sunday, and today's Saturday and I don't feel any rain in sight. And my husband told me a while ago, oh no, they moved it to Monday. So Monday, hopefully. Well, y'all, all I'm doing is walking around my yard, showing y'all a few things, and I'm about to burn up. It's very, very hot, very humid here right now. My soil temperature, according to my little emails that I get every day from a company, my soil temperature right now is 82 degrees just in the soil. So it's hot, and we've had no rain. And I'm praying for some rain because I know just even one good little shower will make all the difference. But I've got to go keep my water hoses moving. I try to move them about every 20 minutes to be able to do everything I need to do in the yard. I can't run both my water hoses at the same time. I just don't have that kind of pressure in my pipes. So I have a lot of long hoses though, and I'm able to do a whole lot with one hose, and then I just catch up with the other hose on what I miss on this side of my house. And so I need to do that, and it's time to mow again. So I was wanting to do this video kind of now, even though it's kind of hot and bright and harder to film like that. But I was wanting to do that now to kill a little time, because once the afternoon gets here, the late afternoon and the early evening, I want to be on the mower so that I'm not burning up out there in that sun. So this is Lainey at Hilltop Home Place, just doing little things around my garden, piddling, popping from one thing to the other, trying to put eyes on everything if I can each day, walk around and really look. if you don't do that, how are you going to know that something's eating all your peppers? You have to walk around and look as much as possible. That way, hopefully, you can maybe catch things early enough and really kind of jump in and try to help things. So it's just so natural to sit here and talk about what are we going to do for this plant or that plant, and this one doesn't like my soil, or this one's turning yellow, and how I'm going to remediate it, and maybe give me some ideas on what you think or whatever. That's all just things that's normal to say and to talk about on videos and when you're watching people's channels. But really, there's just a thought in the back of my mind, and I know I haven't done the video yet on landrace gardening that I was talking about with you, and that's really just been because of some time restraints on me to not kind of put together a cohesive little talking points. I don't want to teach you about it because I'm not an expert on it, and because what I'm going to do is send you to where I think a channel you need to go to learn all about it. And that's called Landrace Gardening. You don't even have to wait on me. Just go to that one. It's called Landrace Gardening. And the man who is pioneering all this explains things. And then he has some other people that work with him. And things just become so crystal clear. And this is what my point is. When we're talking about all this remediation and what to do and what to put and what do you do and what do you do, we all live in different parts of the country. And what intrigues me about landrace gardening is their goal is to have no inputs, no remediation, no little tricks to get something to grow. The whole concept of it, and what makes me want to do it, is it's a survival of the fittest. It's the fact that your seed that you plant, your seed, you can't see it with your eyes, but in your seed are genetics, which are strong or weak or good or bad, and it's the genetics in that seed that's going to determine whether that plant thrives in your conditions. And wouldn't it be great to just figure out what will grow here at my soil without Lainey having to bring in any kind of organic soil? What would grow here that would just love my soil? And the best way to find that out is just to plant a bunch of stuff. Just to take all my different beans and plant them. Now, do I have to put 45 labels in my ground around all this mess and try to figure it out later? No, just the plants that come up. The strongest ones will keep going. The weaker ones will get choked out. The weaker ones will die because the stronger ones are taking all their minerals and their water out of the ground. And the strongest ones that come up and thrive, you save seeds from those. And then the next year, you select again. You take these stronger seeds and you plant them again, and you select again. And yes, they'll cross. They'll cross in the meantime. Some of them will. Maybe. It just depends on the plant. Beans, like bush beans and all, don't cross very easily. They can cross, but their percentage and their odds of crossing is very low. Whereas if you put some pumpkins by each other, their percentage of crossing is kind of high. But that's okay. You can still plant them all by each other in landrace gardening, because you're not so much worried about this variety or that variety. What you're worried about is trying to just let the ones that like it at your house thrive. And the ones that don't like it at your house and your soil, the ones that can't fight it out with that other seed, that can't fight it out with those other plants, you just let them go. You just let them go, and you don't really grow that anymore. And then you take the strongest plants and you definitely save seeds from those. The whole concept of landrace gardening is saving seeds. It's not going and buying more and more seeds every year. It's seeing what likes your house, seeing what likes your climate, saving seeds from those. And then the next year, let them all cross genetically if they want to. It doesn't matter. But whatever plants make it, save those seeds and plant them the next year and see what happens. And then it's not until like the third year of doing this that Joseph Lofthouse, the man that is pioneering this theory of landrace gardening, it's not till the third year that he starts worrying about saving only the ones that taste good, or only the ones that have other qualities that he wants. Depends on what you're growing as to what qualities you want. And it's only in that third year that he starts selecting those seeds of only from those plants. And even though some of these other seeds might be growing strong plants, he narrows it even more to the taste or the texture, or if it's a storage winter squash, he wants to make sure he only selects the ones that really stored well, you know, things like that. And so you kind of just drill down on it to the point where you're growing what really, really loves your house and your environment. And when you do that, you are really creating food security that you might not have had before, even though you were expending a whole lot of energy trying to grow a lot of things, like I'm doing, like y'all are doing. We're trying to grow a whole lot of things so that we can harvest food and go put up and can in the kitchen. And we're experimenting with varieties. And I'm the worst one about that, because I love to experiment with varieties. I love the stories of seeds. I love the stories of maybe the company that it comes from. I love the stories of who saved it many, many years ago, maybe brought it from Europe to here or whatever. I love all that. And there's a part of me that's just me. So I'm always going to do things like that. But what if you just let yourself, through narrowing down, through seed saving and selecting, what if part of your garden was the survival of the fittest, the strongest ones, the ones that just act like that family member that wants to live in your basement and never leave? You know, those plants that just say, we're here and we want to be here and we're going to grow here. And there's not much you can do about us, because we're going to thrive and we're going to reseed and we're going to come up and we're going to grow every year. And we love where you live. Wouldn't you love it if every plant that you grow loves where you live? I know I would. I'm trying to figure out a little bit about what loves where I live. My lima beans seem to love where I live. So this blue jade corn is doing great, seems to love where I live. But other things have given me trouble. Now, do I continue to fight those seeds every year? Do I continue to just move them around in different soil, trying to make them happy? Or at some point, should I just take a big jumble of my seeds and put them all in a bed, as far as like bush beans, and just see which ones are the best? See which ones like it here the most. I have so many varieties that if I wait until I plant them and decide this, it could be years before I really figure out that this one I didn't plant for 4 or 5 years later might be the one I should have been growing the whole time. And making it stronger by growing it with other beans that seem to want to be here. Let them all the strong ones kind of come together and grow together, and select seeds from the best plants out of those, and so forth and so on. And in the end, I might end up with a bean that's just unique to my property, but grows here, loves it here, and is so productive that I just don't know what to do with myself. So that's the basis of landrace gardening, kind of how I just explained it. There are 3 pillars of it: is genetic diversity, promiscuous pollination, which means letting things all cross, and then getting it locally adapted to your soil. And the goal in the end is to have no inputs. You won't need them. You won't need them. You won't need the inputs, because the seeds have adapted to your soil, and you've selected out of the strongest ones that do the best here, and you've weeded out all the weak plants and the weak varieties. So that's a lot to think about. That's a lot to chew on. Go to that channel and just watch it. Landrace Gardening on YouTube. The last time I checked, they only had about 30 videos, but it was so interesting to me. And I'm going to make one more point before I sign off. I know I need to go, but the longer I talk, see, the cooler it's getting out here. So I started this video when it was very, very hot. Now it's kind of getting a little better. But one more thing I want to point out that really intrigued me about landrace gardening was, I said a while ago about the seed. I said that it's in the seed to know whether it's going to grow good at your house. The seed has genetics in it that we can't see with the naked eye, but the genetics and the strong genetics in those seeds are what really matters. And one thing they said on their presentations, which has stuck with me, is that the genetics in the seed will determine the nutrition and the health of that plant. Not your soil, not all the inputs we put on it, the genetics in the seed. And if you have a seed with good genetics, say a tomato plant, it will grow a healthy plant. It will grow it. Maybe those brandywines have better genetics than I thought. Maybe they're not the greatest seedlings, but maybe their genetics make them grow a healthy plant. I don't know, I'm just throwing that out there. But she also said in the presentation, this was another presenter on the channel, but she also said that if a tomato tastes good, if it's just delicious when you bite into it, that it is more nutritious than the tomatoes at the store. She was saying that it is true. If you look up a tomato, they'll just give you one set of numbers. Tomatoes have this many calories and these vitamins in them. But she says that's not true. It comes from the genetics of the seed to grow out this big, beautiful tomato that if it tastes good, it's nutritious. If it tastes blah and watery, it's because it lacks nutrition. The nutrition and the taste are combined, and that all of that, the nutrition and the taste being combined, that a good tasty vegetable is more nutritious than others, comes from the genetics in the seed. It doesn't come from anything Lainey does to it when she plants it. We walk around with these burdens on our shoulder to really grow this really good tomato and to make it wonderful, to make a melon wonderful or a stalk of corn grow and put off ears that are just wonderful. We can do our part, I guess. I'm trying to water because we're having a drought. We can do our part. But really and truly, we shouldn't have to if the seed that we're using has that genetic diversity, that promiscuous pollination, and that local adaptation that has made it want to grow in our soil, want to come up and grow healthy, and want to taste delicious because we've selected it down to taste delicious. We wouldn't be watering my plants right now. I wouldn't be watering my plants right now if I was doing Landrace gardening and I was on my 3rd year of selecting seeds and my corn was out there growing. I wouldn't be having to water it. I wouldn't be. You don't have to do inputs on the plants that you've selected over time to grow in your particular climate, because they will get used to your climate. They'll get used to your rain patterns. They'll store up that rain when they get it because they know that in the coming months they might not be getting it. And they'll actually have in their identity of those seeds your weather patterns where you live. And I would not have to be out here right now running around with a water hose to different beds making sure my plants don't die. That's something that interests me. That's something that interests me, especially because I'm not getting any younger, especially because my next big decade birthday is 60. I'm not there yet, but that's my next big decade birthday. Wouldn't it be great if by the time I turn 70, I'm sitting out here growing things that just, I mean, when people ride by, they look and go, oh my goodness, how does that lady always have that good of a garden? How does that lady always have corn that's 12 feet tall and has 4 ears on each one? You know, how does that lady do this? And it'll be because I've selected down to only growing what grows good at my house. It might not grow that great somewhere else, but it might select down to where it grows really good here. And when you're talking about food security, at least look into it. At least do like I'm doing and kind of open your mind to the fact that if you want food security, which is having food, you might want to try this. But if you're also wanting food security that tastes good and it's food you want to eat, and you know that when you eat that tasty melon, that tasty tomato, you're also giving your body vitamins, which to me is the main thing in food security. Having something to eat is great. There's not tons of vitamins in that Vienna sausage. There might be tons of vitamins in that sweet corn that you've selected and grown and that just thrives at your house and nobody knows the name of it because they don't recognize it because it's not a corn they've ever seen before. But that lady down the road has it growing like crazy. I kind of want to be that lady down the road. I kind of want to be her. And also, if you can do something like that and you can get not dependent on seed stores and you can get not dependent on any of these inputs, even water, my goodness, the people that you could help out if they need it, the people that you could help out if things get really, really bad. If food prices go into hyperinflation, the things that you could grow and do are amazing. And I'm about 3 years behind because I haven't gotten started yet with it. So that's my goal. That's kind of my thoughts on landrace gardening. And just remember from all of this, if it tastes delicious, it's nutritious, and you've done something. But you can make it taste even better and better, maybe by selecting seeds and saving seeds and selecting them out over the years, and then letting things cross-pollinate. Throw all the rules you learned out the window with landrace gardening. You throw them out the window. Let me say this to anybody who might be listening to me who lives in the Midwest, but specifically maybe in Kansas, specifically in the northeast corner of Kansas. There is a seed company called Buffalo Seed Company. I heard about it off of the channel of Life Done Free, which is a YouTube channel on here. Great people, just promoting self-sufficiency, freedom, starving the beast, taking back your life from being dependent on the system. Love that channel, Life Done Free. But they introduced me through interviews and through the fact that they're actually test growing things for Buffalo Seed Company. But they introduced me to Buffalo Seed Company. Now, I haven't ordered from them yet, but they are a landrace gardening seed company. They don't irrigate their soil. They grow things in their northeast area of Kansas, in and around that area, for their seed company, harvest the seeds from different growers that are doing it that way, following her rules about how to do it. And they sell the seeds from Buffalo Seed Company. They have a map on their website. If you go on Buffalo Seed Company's website, they have a map, and the map pinpoints where they are in the northeast corner of Kansas. But it shows you areas all around there. They color code them: green, yellow, red, orange. And as you get farther away from their seed company, their seed matching, it's called, their seed matching, which is where that seed being adapted to that particular zone and area, the seed matching gets a little less, but it's still pretty good. But if you live in the area of anyway, Missouri, Kansas, Iowa, whatever the little corners are there where it's green and yellow and even the beginnings of the red part and all, you can have some very, very good selected plants and seeds to grow plants that should grow great in your area. If you've never heard of Buffalo Seed Company and you live in or near Kansas, if you live in Missouri near Kansas, you live in that zone that's on that map, check them out. Order a packet of seeds and try them and see if it's not one of the best things you've ever done, because I don't have any connection with them. They don't know anything about me. I'm just trying to say it might give you a leg up. I'm 3 years behind selecting for South Louisiana, selecting seeds this way. And my state is not on her map as far as the zone being adapted. The seed match is 0 for down here in Louisiana. We're not on their map. That doesn't mean if I bought seeds from her, they would not grow down here. They probably would. But they have selected, adapted, and gotten those seeds to grow where you don't have to water them. You don't have to really do anything much to them there in Kansas. And the surrounding areas can probably still benefit from those seeds up to hundreds of miles away. Those climates, those temperature ranges, as the temperatures go up and down, those seeds are adapted to that area. And if you live in that area, if you have family in that area, you might want to put them on to Buffalo Seed Company. And you might want to just say, try these seeds and see. And then maybe don't even tell them what all's going on. Just see if they don't call you later and say, you know what? Those bush beans I bought were wonderful from that company. They did better than any bush beans ever. So then you can take advantage of the fact that they've done a lot of the work for you. They've done a lot of the work and they're selling the seeds in your area. And you don't have to be 3 years behind like I am starting with landrace seeds. I don't know of any sources down here in South Louisiana for that, but I'm giving you a source if you live in the Midwest like that and live near Kansas. So this is Lainey from Hilltop Home Place. I'm really signing off this time, and I just hope maybe you learned a little bit today. I know I'm learning every day. Gardening is learning. Learning is gardening, and gardening is learning. It could go on forever and ever. We're never going to know all we need to know about this. But I appreciate you watching me, and I thank you for hanging in there with me today. Y'all have a great day. Pray for rain for Lainey down here in South Louisiana, and I'll pray for good weather for you all. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.